recap to what we have done in the past. This was the last example that we were working on. Just to recap some of the things from PHP's perspective, because you guys are learning many languages the same semester, right? So here we have a function in PHP, which is declared with the word function. The function has a name. It can take parameters. Parameters only need a name, do not need to mention any data types. You can call a function just like you would call a function in any other language by simply calling the function by name and passing the required parameter. The rest of the program logic is based on however you design your method, but the whole function idea is same. So the function can be value returning, can be non-value returning. One more thing that you do not have to worry about in PHP is that if it's a value returning function, you do not need to put the return type next to the function keyword and before the function name. That's something that you do in Java or C#. And that's it. It's simple, with less things going on, but it's different. So this semester alone, besides PHP, you guys are learning RPG, right? That's the only other language you are learning, or is there any other language you're learning besides that?
SQL?
You have not started the programming side of SQL, so we are still at the query language. But yes, eventually you will be learning the programming side of SQL, which is SQLPL. So that'll be the third language that you will learn, third programming language that you will learn. But for now, these are the only two languages I believe most of you are learning this semester. Or is anybody learning anything else?
Since I'm in web classes, I'm still doing web stuff like right now we're making web projects for actual clients, so we're using a lot of WordPress.
Okay, and
like normal HTML.
Any server side?
Some of it, yeah. We're working with Thai.
Yeah, okay.
So a lot of the server side stuff is like kind of built in.
Okay, cool. Okay, so that's a variation. That's a variation. But again, if you're doing purely HTML, CSS, that would be a markup language and a style sheet, wouldn't be a programming language.
We're messing around with Unreal blueprints.
That too. And there's some C++ involved with that too.
In that same project that you're doing with Ty?
No, game programming.
Oh,
with Alan.
Okay, okay. So you guys are doing game programming and you're doing C++ with, okay. Awesome. Which course is that?
It's on the game certificate.
Yeah, but which class? Which one? Is like a game engine or?
It's
game programming technologies.
Game programming technology.
Yeah, I was that one.
Engine.
Okay, cool.
Hope you guys are having fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, right? So let's start with our week 6 here. And I'll be starting with a PHP file. Now, technically, this is week 7, minusing the midterm week. So after today, we'll be halfway through the semester. Because this is a Monday class, so it goes one more week than the other classes. So all of the classes will end in a week, and this class will be ending after the weekend. So yeah, that's why this is a little bit behind. For all of the classes, you'll be starting with your week 8 tomorrow. Anyway, so here we are combining the idea of user-defined functions, so UDF, and we are combining it with the concept of arrays. So we will be merging 2 separate concepts that we have learned in this one example. And then, of course, I'll be incorporating loops in that same example. And also, I will incorporate the idea of forms. So we're going to do several things in this one example. And my idea is the reason I put many things in one example after we learn the concept is one way is to revise the concepts we have already learned. And another thing is to see how these things integrate with each other. So that's why I try to do multiple things in the same example. So to get started, this is my PHP. we will be creating the body of a function which will be called make date menu. Make date menu. That will be the name of my function. And the idea would be to create a form, and the entire form will be generated by this function. So that's basically what we want to do. So we will create a form. Now I'm doing form also in the echo. So I'm not breaking out of the PHP, just to show you how you can also do it within PHP. So I'm creating a form. Method is post. Action, for now, I'm not doing any action. I'm not creating any submission process here. And then I'm closing the form. Between the opening and the closing, this is where the form will be generated by. Okay. So form generation code will be done by the date menu, make date menu.
So something that the VS Code has been saying is like if it's just a PHP and there's nothing else in it, you do not need the closing question mark like greater than symbol.
That's probably something VS Code specific, maybe?
I don't know. I just wanted to say that just so like if when we send the code in and it's not there,
Oh,
so you know.
okay. Okay, I see. I see. Right. Okay. So it pretty much lets you code all PHP without writing the opening and closing scriptlets, or
Just the close, just the
just the
closing
close.
scriptlet.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so now let's get inside the body of make date menu. I need to create an array to store months. So I need to create an array to store months. And I want to create a key value pair associative array. Key value pair associative array, where I want 1 as a key and January as its value. And similarly, 2 as a key and February as its value. Can you tell me how am I going to do that? So I create an array called months, and I use square brackets, and I create a key value pair. How do we create key value pairs?
You do 1 in quotation marks, I think.
It's up to you. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Okay. And then you do equals and a greater than,
Mhm.
and then the name that you want.
Exactly. Thank you. Now, if I want to give 2 to February and 3 to March, would I have to repeat the process? 2 February, 3 March, same syntax?
Yes.
No.
Well,
If I do this, it automatically will make February 2, because I already said the first value is 1. By default, the first value is 0. So all I needed to do was overwrite this starting point, and the rest will follow.
That's actually very convenient.
It is. There are a few things that I've noticed PHP has done because it was a late joiner that other languages did not have, and it created this convenience for programmers. Okay. So here my start of the select and the end of the select. That's where I will be. I will create my drop-down box. And I want my drop-down box to be filled with the values from the array. So one way to do this would be to use a for each loop, which would allow me to read one value at a time out of the array and work with that value. So for each, which is also called enhanced for loop in Java, is what I'll be coding. So as you can see over here, what I did is I am grabbing a value. I'm grabbing one element out of the array called months. After I grab the value, one value or one key value pair out of the months, I'm assigning the key to the key variable and the value to the value variable. So 1 will be in the key and January will be in the value, then 2 will be in the key and February will be in the value, and so on and so forth. And now I will use another echo inside to display the options. So if I want my key when it goes to the client, whatever the value for the key is, I want that to be in double quotes. How can I do that? So on the receiving end, I want the value for the key to be received as a string value in double quotes. And it is done the same way in Java or C# that you would do in PHP. The question is how?
I mean, it is an escape character, but
What escape character?
that one I don't. Is it backslash?
Yes, it's backslash double quotes and backslash double quotes. So that means you want the escape sequence, double quotes, not the double quotes to close out the double quotes started after echo. So once we save the changes here, we're not done yet, but I just wanted to run to make sure that we can see some output. Okay. So we can see that the values are filled in like that. And as I go in view source, you can see that all the values are enclosed in double quotes. And that's what I wanted to achieve. And I was able to achieve that.
Can you flip back to the code?
Yes. So for those of you who are done with this code, you will run it to see an output like this. When you right click on the source code, and when you right click on the page and click view source, then you will see that entire source code is in one line. How can I make it such that the entire source is not in one line? I will go to line number 14, and before the option starts, I'll put a /n. So when I'm generating source code, this would allow me to put each one of them on a new line. So just make that one change on line 14, save the changes, and refresh the output. It will make no difference to the output. But look at your source code now. See how nicely aligned your source code is? And you can use another /n wherever you want. So just wanted to show you what /n can do to the source code. It makes your source code a bit more readable. That's all it does. Doesn't has any impact on the output. Okay. I'm assigning you guys to do this task. I want you to create another drop down. And let me give you the name is day. The name of the drop down will be day. And this drop down is supposed to display you the days 1 through 31. This is the kind of the output I want you guys to achieve. You already have achieved the first drop down. I want you to achieve another drop down with values 1 through 31. So anybody got it?
Looks like a few of us do.
Right. 5 of you have it. Okay. Waiting to get a little bit more. A few more people. For those of you who got the days, can now work on the year drop-down box, which would be the current year plus 10 years. Current year plus 10 years. So for those of you who will be working on this one, something like this, we have month, we have days, and then we have 2024 plus 10 years. Okay. So let me share with you the code I wrote here. We have a day code, which is to display the days 1 through 31. And then we have another drop-down box, which starts from the current year, and then it goes for 10 more years.
I wrote it out the very long way.
Oh, you did not run the loop around the values?
I did, but I did it like we did the months.
Oh, okay. If I want my code to be more dynamic in nature, means I want that whenever I run this program, it should automatically grab the current year. After it grabs the current year from the date, and it should dynamically do it 10 plus years. So if I open this code in 2025, line 29 should automatically read the current year. To make that happen, what you need to do it instead of hard coding 2024, you can call the date function and you can pass an uppercase Y. And that would allow you to run a bit of a dynamic code. So when you now refresh it, will make no difference to the output, but your code behind the scene is now a bit dynamic in nature. Is anybody still coding or is everybody done?
I'm still coding. I'm just trying to see what's going on. That's all.
Okay, okay. So we declared a variable start date, which holds the current year as a value. We are starting the loop from the current year, and then we're adding 10 to that value. So the loop will keep looping from 2024 all the way through 2034, because that is 2024 plus 10. It will increment by 1 each cycle. So we are creating a drop-down box where the value of Y will be the value, and the value of Y will also be the text displayed inside the drop-down box. And that's the same logic we used here, except for the day was also hard-coded to 1 versus being dynamic. Any question about this code?
So are you actually able to use the date function inside the for statement? So instead of start year, do the date Y?
Yeah, but since I am using that variable in more than one places, so it's better to store it in a variable and then use the value rather than having to call the function twice.
Well, I mean, I was asking because there might be a reason for me to do something like that
Yeah, technically,
for
yes.
some other
Yeah, technically,
program.
yes. Yes, technically, yes. You can do that. You don't have to have it through a variable. Any other question before we move on to the next example? In the next example, what I want to do is I want to create a function where the function's job would be to produce form items. Every time I call a function, I will be telling the function what will be the name and what will be the text that will be displayed in the label. And based on those two things, it will generate labels and text boxes for me. So instead of having to hard code the text boxes, I will let this function create all the text boxes for me. And then I will create a form in which I can, call the function multiple times. In this example, we were only calling the function once, and it was creating 3 drop-down boxes for me. In the next example, I will be able to call the functions as many times as I want the number of text boxes to be generated. So to make that happen, we'll start with a new example. And we will call this new PHP file UDF, user-defined function, form. We're going to be generating form. We're going to call this 11.php. So the function that I will create will be called function make text input, which will receive a couple of parameters. One will be the name, and another one will be the label. And down at the bottom, I will be creating my form with method equals to, let's say, post, and action not set to anything for now. We have another one, form. Now I will call this make underscore text underscore input. I'll call it a few times. For example, I'm going to create a text box that I would like to name first name, and in the label, I want the function to display first name, just like that. And similarly, I want to create, I want to create another one and another one. So I want to have one called last underscore name and last. And I want to have, let's say, email and an email address. So I want to generate multiple input boxes. And I want to close it out with, and for example, input type equals to submit, value equals to register, and that should do it. Oh, bad. I have an extra double quotes on line 11. So the function make text input gets 2 parameters. Name will be used to name the text box, and then the label will be used to display the label. So let's create the input type equals to text, name equals to name. Size equals to 20. And for now, let's close it like this. For now. We'll make some changes in the next cycle. But for now, we'll just close it like that.
Do you need any quotes around the variable name after name?
Oh, I'm not using it because anything that you put in single quotes, and if it's a variable, it displays it as it is. So I want to read its value. That's why I didn't put any single quotes around it. I could use escape sequence, just like that. Now I will test to make sure that this works. Here we go. It does works. So every time we call it, we get a paragraph with a label, with a text box, and we have 3 of them. Did everybody get the 3 text boxes? Just like this?
I'm still coding.
Oh, okay. One of the other students in my second semester class, he codes every single character in the code. So he's always typing. And I asked him once, do you ever copy paste? And he said, no, I don't. I type everything. I said, really? Why would you do that?
Calling me out like that, Saad.
So
I,
yeah,
I did,
He said, "Why are you calling him out?"
no, I just asked him because, he was falling behind all the time from everybody else. So I asked him, what is the reason? Do you type everything or do you copy paste and you're still falling behind? He said, no, I don't copy paste. Okay.
I did that at first just to get faster because when I first
Yeah.
started this program, I couldn't type. I wasn't really good at it, so I used to type everything out just so I could get a little faster at typing. I'm still not as good as some other people, but I'm a lot better than what I was.
Plus your fingers sort of kind of, have this little memory of their own if you don't keep switching keyboards. Now, I have difficulty when I switch keyboards. It takes me some time to get my fingers trained on the new keyboard. So I prefer not to change keyboards.
Or when I switch from a key, like where I'm set up in my office downstairs, if I switch to my laptop, it sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I'm the same way. Now I am accustomed to my Mac a little bit. So if I start when I go on campus and I have to use Windows, I would have to get accustomed to that. I haven't used Windows in like 2 months now. Oh, except for V2 Cloud. But I've been using Mac keyboard for that.
I probably coded everything wrong because I only get first name and registers appearing in the text box.
You only get okay, you only got the word first name.
And then register in the text box.
Okay. You didn't coded everything wrong. What might have happened is on line number 4, check your quotes. You might have a single quote that is not closed or not opened, or a double quote that is closed or not open. So check your line 4. Most likely you have some problem on line 4.
Okay. Oh, I see it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, it's appearing normal now.
Now, cool. Do you guys remember how can we check to see if a form element has a value or if it is empty?
You use is set.
Yeah, cool. If is set post name. So we are now checking to make sure if the name, whatever name it is, has a value or if it is empty. What we want to do this is, if it is not empty, because what happens is anytime you submit a form, the values that come into the form automatically vanishes from the text boxes. Because you've already submitted the form, you've already left the page. So every time you hit submit, you leave the page, even if you're coming back to the same page with a post back operation, you still have left that page, so it automatically clears out all the form elements. What we want to do is, when we come back after a post back, any of the form elements that were already filled with values should be reinstated with their previous values. And since we know that those values are held inside the variables, we can definitely inject them back. So to do this, we would have to make one more change, is to get that closing tag on line 4 and replace it with a space. So after 20, I have a single quotes and a space, and I will rather close that on line number 8. So delete that closing tag from line 4 and add it to line 8. On line number 6, now you will echo value equals to let's do this. And then we'll have host name just like that. So after writing this, when you test your code, you will see that when you submit your form, whatever values you put in the form will be available to you even after the post back. Everybody got this? Post back logic. After you fill out the form, hit the submit button, register button, and it'll come back to the same form with all the values already filled in, whatever you have posted.
So we never filled in the action. Is that going to make a difference?
No, it just submits back to itself. Because of the submit button. Submit button is programmed to submit back. What will happen if I add a third parameter and I use that third parameter to assign a size? I should not use single quotes around this one. Rather use my logic of escape sequence. Of course, lines 12 through 14 will now be a problem because I'm only passing 2 parameters and I'm receiving 3. So I will be, for example, passing a value 30 and passing a value 50 here. Will this be working solution, or do I still have a problem?
You don't have a default.
I don't have a default. That's why line number 12 will be failing because size doesn't has a default value. So how can you give a default value to a parameter? So that if the value is not provided, it will use that default value.
Equals.
Equals, just like that. Okay. Here we go. Sam, Brown, and the email. They're all receiving the size. Okay, is there everybody caught up with this one? Okay. So we will now start with our next one. We'll still be calling it UDF form 2.php. UDF form 2.php. Okay. This time, outside of the PHP, I want to create a form. Now I will check for form submission. That means when the form loads the first time, nobody has clicked the submit button yet. So I would not have to process any calculation results. But if somebody had pressed the button submit, only then I would want to calculate the results. So in order to check that, I will use an if condition, and I will use a server object. I don't think so we have used a server object, right? It's actually an array. It's an associative array. And in this associative array, we look for a key call request method. If request method is equals to post, if request method is equals to post, that means somebody came in through the submission. So now I will check to see if I have values for calculate and the price, quantity and the price, and if the values are numbers. Now, remind me, did we do anything like this before? Where we are checking for the input to see if the input is numeric or not.
I think so. It's is numeric or something like that.
Did we do anything like this?
I think we might have, maybe not numeric specifically, but
Okay. If um is underscore numeric, host quantity. That means if quantity is a numeric value and and price is also a numeric value. So when both of the values are numbers, only then I want to be able to calculate and display the output. Otherwise, I want to tell the user that, you know what, you need to enter some useful information so that I can perform the calculations. So paragraph style equals to, let's say color red. I cannot use double quotes, right? So I got to use single quotes here. Color red. Please enter a valid quantity and or price. And if they're able to enter a numeric value for both of them, then we can say your total comes to whatever the total value is. In this thunderstorm, I hope nobody has to face the outages.
Is that thunder on your end?
I have, yes, we are going, yeah, we are going through thunderstorm here where I am right now, like in Kenosha.
I just heard I'm in the basement and I heard some crazy loud banging, and then right after you said that.
And it's supposed to last for a few hours. We already have an outage in Burlington. So the Hero Center in Burlington, we have power outage there. So that facility is closed. You probably would have received the alert too. But yeah. So I hope we don't have to go through that.
Yeah, I'm closer to the lake too, so I got a little flicker a little while ago, but nothing crazy yet.
In Kenosha?
Yeah.
Okay. I know the program is non-functional right now because we have not yet written the logic to calculate, but let me test it the way it is right now to make sure other functionalities are working. So if I leave it empty, I get this message in red. If I leave one of them empty, that's still the case. When I enter values for both of them, that's the only time I get to see an output. And it is 0 because that's the value I assign to total. This is where I need to do the calculations. Okay, so I want to modularize the calculations. So we want to create a function called calculate total, and that will receive two variables, quantity and price. It will calculate total by multiplying the quantity with the price, and let's do the number formats. I don't think so. We have done that too. So the total will be the number underscore format of the total to 2 decimal places, and then we will return the total. Okay, so I need to now call the calculate total and pass both of the form elements to that calculate total function. So let me create a little bit more room here. So I'll call calculate total, to which I will pass quantity, and I will pass price. I'm just breaking it up into 2 lines so that you guys maybe can see this. I think now I can fit it in 1 line. So what we are doing here is after we check to make sure that the values are numeric, we're calling the function calculate total, which is this function here. And we're passing the quantity into Q and the price into pay. After the calculations are performed, we are returning the T back into total. And that's what we're displaying out here. So that's what's happening. So first of all, we are passing the two parameters. And third, we are returning a value back to be displayed. So we can test this code by, let's say, there we go. So 34 and 2, 68, right? And this is formatted in numbers. If I do 456.77, sorry, 456, and the price is 377, and here the output is comma delimited. And this, sorry, comma separated output is all happening because of the number format function. Any questions about this one? Were all of you able to test this code?
Not yet.
Okay,
So the number for number format is just how many numbers after the decimal, right?
and also comma separation.
Well, no, I meant like inside
Oh, yeah,
the function, yeah.
yes, yes. 2 is the number of decimal places, correct.
How did you make your total bold? Where'd you put it? Trying to see.
Line 13.
This one.
So oh, okay, I spelled it wrong. That's why. Thank you.
Mhm.
Whenever I enter my numbers and hit enter, nothing changes. It did before.
Check to see if your code is correct in terms of the call and the calculations. Otherwise, I can have a look at it if you can't identify the problem.
What was here at the bottom?
Yeah. That's it. That is it.
Okay, yeah, okay. I see what it is.
Oh, you found it?
Yes.
Cool. Anybody else still coding? Okay. Now let's review a concept we learned last week. I have a variable outside of the function called tax, and I'm setting this to 8.75. Inside the body of the function, I want to do following. I want to convert tax to a decimal value between 0 and 1. So if it is 8.75, that means it should be 0.0875. How can I do that?
I mean, first thing you have to do is global tax.
Very good. First of all, I need to do that is global tax. Then I can do my calculations. Okay. So now convert tax to a decimal value between 0 and 1 and store it in.
You got a typo on global.
Oh, thank you. Global. In tax rate. Okay. So the tax rate equals to, what should I do? I want 8.75 to be
Divide tax by 100.
divide tax by 100. And then how can I use that in my calculations? To incorporate tax in my total?
You can either multiply it by you can either multiply it by the total, or you can, and then okay, so it's total times total times tax, or total plus total times tax, or you could do total times 1 point whatever the tax rate is.
Okay, so I can pretty much, you're saying is I can, after I done calculating the quantity times price, I can do tax equal, total equals to tax, total times tax rate plus 1, is that what you said?
No, I said it was a is a so okay, so it's total plus, then in parentheses tax rate times total.
Okay, something like this. Okay.
So what I did is I did plus equals
Okay,
instead.
plus equals will do. Absolutely. And there is one more way you can do it. If you don't want to use, can you do it without the two ways that we have already learned? These are the two ways we have already learned. So any other approach?
Could we do total times equals 1 plus tax rate?
So total times equals to, you said?
Yeah.
1 plus tax rate, like that?
Yeah.
Yep, we could do that, right? Or there's one more thing we can do is Uh, we can add one right here on line 6. Will that do? Will that work as well? Yes, no?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you add one. You directly embed it into the formula or you add it afterwards. So it's an associative property, right? You add it after or before you end up adding. So either way it gets added. So save the changes and let's refresh the output. It'll be a slightly different output now with the same values as before, because now we have incorporated the tax into the process.
Go back to the code.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm. Everybody got it? Or anybody still coding it? Okay. So what are some of the things we learned in this example? We created a form. We submitted a form back to itself. Then inside the PHP code, we have an if condition to check to see if server has received a post submission. If server has received a post submission, we want to check to see if the values coming in are numeric values. If they are, then we call calculate total function and pass two values as parameters. It performs the calculations and sends the results back, which we store in total, and we display the total. In case of numeric values are not passed, we display the error message, and that's about it. Okay. Next, I want to transition to try-catch blocks in PHP. They're very similar. The try-catch block in PHP is very similar to try-catch blocks in Java or C#. You try with a bunch of code. If anything errors out in that, it goes to the catch. Same idea. No big deal. It's very similar. So let's do a quick example. It's a PHP example. We'll call this one try catch 1.php. So we have a try block and we have a catch block. So we want to test if result equals to 5 modulo 0. In case if you end up dividing a number by 0, generally PHP will throw an error and your program will fail. But since this is a try-catch block, it will try to locally handle it. So I am calling a built-in class called division by 0 error. And if that's the case, I want to display the error message. Okay. Now, this is something that is new for you guys. What is a concatenation operator in PHP?
The period.
Okay. And what is the use of period in Java or C#?
Calling methods from objects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we cannot use period between an object and its methods. So what PHP did, came up with a different operator called an arrow operator. An arrow operator, anytime you see an arrow operator in PHP, this is an indicator that something before the arrow has to be an object, and whatever is after the arrow has to be a method of that object. So as you can see, there's a long list of getters. By the way, probably in next few weeks, we will learn object-oriented programming in PHP. So you will get to see all of this, but just so that you understand why are we using the arrow operator, that's the reason. Because period is for a different purpose in PHP, so we use the arrow operator. Okay, save the changes and run the program. And it will give you modulo by 0 error, because of course we try to divide the number by 0. That's one very simple example to show you how try-catch blocks can be used. And we'll do one more example where I want to try to incorporate the try-catch block with functions so that you can see how these two concepts can be used together. Is everybody done with this? Okay. So we will create our next file as trycatch2.php. In the trycatch2, as I told you, that we will be using functions. So I will be creating a function called division, which I will call several times. So we will have two variables here, dividend and divisor. So if divisor equals to 0, want to do something. And if that's not the case, want to do something else. That something else would be that we want to calculate the quotient by simply taking the dividend and divided by the divisor. And then we will echo the output as dividend divided by divisor equals to quotient break row. Something simple as that. I still need to complete the if condition part. I will do that after I am done with the bottom part. And outside of the function, I want to have my try catch block. And again, my catch block is same, division by 0. Echo, caught an exception. So there are a couple of pieces of code that I want to complete. One is the try block and the other one is the if condition. So I'm making a call to division and I'm passing 10 and 2. Then I'm making another call to division.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
That's my Siri. I don't know why Siri got activated.
Scared me.
Yeah, I didn't ask for him. Okay. And for a moment I was like, who is that? So in my first 2 runs, everything should run smoothly and I should get 3 lines of output. Line number 13, no problem. If condition will not be true, so else will perform the division and will give the output. Line number 14 will call line number 2. Again, divisor is not 0. Nothing will go wrong and it will display an output. We'll give a couple minutes to everybody so that everybody can test this code before we start adding a few more lines of code.
Before we start to break things.
Before we start to break things, yeah.
Come on, learning how to break things are the most fun.
Some code was meant to be broke.
So here we go. Will that break anything?
It should.
Should. It doesn't do a thing.
Because right now it's going to the if statement that's empty.
Very good. It going to the if condition, but if condition has nothing to offer, so the try block ends. You never get to the catch because technically it's not an error. Now we will make an error out of it, and that's what basically is called throwing an error. So now that we have run into this if condition, now we will purposely throw an error by calling an unnamed instance of exception class and coming up with an error message. Division by 0 is my error message. So this is called an explicitly raising an exception or forced raising of an exception, as opposed to default raising of an exception. So you throw, it's the same idea that you have in Java. So now when I refresh, this runs, I get this problem, right? This error is now being raised by line 4, caught by line number 19, and line number 19 then basically goes nuts, right? Caught, just like, oops. And the division by 0, that is my error message that I set on line number 4, and that becomes my error message, division by 0. Done, everybody, with this?
So the reason why it's not giving us the caught an exception is because it's not technically a division by 0 at that point.
Yep, it is basically throwing an exception in the fly. I mean, like, nobody's catching it because it's just getting thrown by this guy. It's not coming back. So there's one more very important topic that we will get to. However, we will get to it after the break, and that is called regular expressions. Have you guys dealt with regular expressions in other classes? No? Yes? I think there is regular expressions in your internet programming class in one of the chapters, if I'm not wrong.
Right, regex.
Right, exactly. You'll be looking at regular expressions now from the PHP perspective versus from an HTML perspective. So that's what we will be mainly focusing on after the break. So let's take a break till 7:45. And when we come back, we will then be looking at regular expressions in PHP. Okay,
What time again?
7:45.
Okay, thank you.
So as I told you guys before we went on break, that we will be working with expressions or regular expressions. So let me share screen and let's get going. So I will be starting with my very first example here, which we will call reg expr1.php. Regular expression 1.php. Okay. Now let's say, let's do a pattern recognition with variables. So let's create a variable called pattern. And in this pattern, I will be creating a pattern such that we are looking for all occurrences of either the word cake or the word cafe. So notice the middle two letters are in the square brackets. So any letters in the square brackets, it automatically applies or on them. So either the text will be cake or the text will be cafe. Now, here is my sentence. Jeff loves eating cake. Now, we will use a PHP's built-in function, PHP regular, PHP regular match, right? It's match, and in which we will give the pattern and the text to match the pattern in. If found, it will say echo match found. Otherwise, it will say echo match not found. Simple as that. Very, very simple code. So if I were to run this, it'll come. Oops, what happened here? Did I miss anything here? My bad. I forgot the closing slash after E. Here we go. Match found.
I was wondering why it was giving me an error for a minute.
Yeah. So
It was saying something about no closing delimiter.
right, and I think that was the case because I forgot the slash in the end. Okay. If I say, instead of Jeff loves eating cake at the school cafe. Now, both are true here, right? So when I run this, it'll still say match found. Doesn't matter. One or more doesn't matter. Now what we want to do in this example is we want to see how many matches are found. So for that, I will use another function called PHP regular expressions match all. In the pattern, in this text, I will now display matches were found. So depending on however many matches I was able to find it will display whether I was able to find one match or two matches, and so on and so forth. So when I run this one, it tells me two matches were found because in that one sentence, I have both the word cake as well as the word cafe. Okay, was everybody able to see this output? Okay, so now we will move on to our next example with regular expressions. So we'll call this one regexpr2 dot php. Okay, so this time we will create a pattern that would match a space. So it's a space pattern. And the replacement text we will use is a hyphen. Oh, replacement. And this is my text. Earth revolves around the sun. Now I need to echo PHP regular expression replace. So my pattern is this, my replacement is line 3, and my statement is text. So when you run this example, you will see that all occurrences of spaces, by space, we mean white space. So /n, which is a new line character, also categorizes as a white space. So it would replace all occurrences of all white spaces with hyphens.
So that's why it's also still on one line.
Yes, exactly. And /n doesn't pushes content to the new line, by the way. It only pushes contents to the new line in the source code, not in the actual code. For actual code, you would have to use BR. Now the question is, okay, I only am interested in replacing the spaces and not all the white spaces. To make that happen, you cannot use the regular expression replace. Rather, you would have to use a string function replace, where you can say that I want to replace all occurrences of space only with all occurrences with a hyphen in the following text. And again, it is not really changing the value of text. It is merely for display purpose only. It's only for display purpose. So the value of text will be whatever it was before. So now you can see that Earth revolves around the sun. the slash ends around the they are simply just left as white spaces, because that's what slash n typically is. Only behind the scene, it would do what it is supposed to do. So if I right click and I go to view source, okay, that's where you can actually see that how the sun is coming on two separate lines. That's what basically slash n does. It only affects the source code, doesn't affect the output. Okay. Did everybody get this one also? Okay. So let's move on to our third example here, where we'll have regular expression 3.php. Now, let me write a bit of a long string here. So my text goes like this. My shopping list includes a bag of potatoes, comma, a sack of onions, comma. I'm just going to the next line so that you guys can see all the text. And 2 breads and a dozen apples. Okay. So that's my string. I want to create a pattern in which I want to look for either a space or a comma. Okay. Either a space or a comma. So what do you think my pattern should be? I'm looking for spaces and commas. So since I have multiple things to match, I will have, first of all, the 2 slashes, forward slashes, and within the square brackets, I will have my ors, which is a white space or a comma. Okay, it's a white space or a comma. Now, I will use a built-in function, regular expression split. It actually returns a value back. If I just simply use it in an echo instruction, it will just simply display all the values out. But I want to return it as an array. What I would like to do is, this is the pattern. And based on this pattern, I want the following text to be split.
You're missing an R in pattern on line 5.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So now let's loop a for each loop So you guys can see over here that whenever you're done, when you run this code and refresh the output, you will see that the entire item is split like this, one item per row. Okay, so when you run this code and you see the output, what else did you notice?
There's an extra line when we had the commas.
Right. So if there is a space after the comma, it only counts one of the two. And if there are multiple spaces, like I left a space after a comma of onions, and then I left another comma before the two, as a result, it counted it as two separate records. So what exactly is it telling you? It is telling you that I am only looking for one match. Either I found a space, I ignore the comma, or I found a comma and I ignore the space, and I count it as a regular entry, right? So to bypass this problem, what you will do is you will stick in a little plus after the square brackets, which means more occurrences of these next to each other should be recognized as a single occurrence. So once you make that change and then refresh your output, you will see all those extra spaces are gone. Everybody follow that?
Yep.
Okay, now let's move on to our next. These are short examples that we are doing with each regular expression. I want to do short examples. So, my next example, what's the number here? Oh, 4.
Number 4.
Yeah. Regular expression 4.php. Now let's work with arrays. So I got an array of names in which I have the following names. I got Carl. Oh, we have something here. What do you mean, smile a symbol key? Oh, you mean like, oh, yeah. I have shared a lot of resources under this week. If you go under this week's units, which would be unit number 7, there are 4 different tutorials I've shared with you guys about regular expressions. And I believe Alex also shared one in the chat. Just so that you guys know, there are tutorials on user-defined functions, and then there are tutorials on handling try-catch blocks. So I've given you all of those down here. Okay. Okay. So now let's create a list here. So we have Carl, we got John, we got Joe, we got Amy, we get Aaron. Okay, so these are my names. And I want to look for the names that start with letter J. So I want to create a pattern for names that start with letter J. So for this one, I will use start with is a caret symbol and J. So starts with J. Now I will do the matching, matches the PHP regular expression. On this pattern. And this is my array of names. So now matches will be an array which will hold all those names that start with the letter J. And I can use a for each loop to go to the matches array and grab one name at a time in match and display it. Okay, so this will fetch one name at a time from oops. So Z, edit, undo text change, edit cut. Okay, fetch one name at a time from matches into match, and then display it. So when you run this program, you should see all the names from the list that starts with letter J.
What was your output again?
That's my output.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
So what does the grep stand for?
It's a built-in function for looking at the patterns inside a pattern. It's been I forgot what exactly the text grep stands for. I may have to look that up. It's been around in pattern recognition for a very long time. It's a tool used for search. So it's a command. So long time ago, when this pattern recognition originally came about, grep was a command line utility. That was the name of the utility that was used on Unix and Linux. So I think that's from where the name came from. I don't know what it stands for. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's go to a new example here. We'll call regular expression 5.php. In this one, I'm going to write a text that reads like this. My favorite color. Oops, we have a couple of comments. Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Alex, for sharing that resource. My favorite color is the blue color. Colors are fun. So as you see in this one statement, I use the word color in different ways. In all lowercase, in all uppercase with an extra S, and with an init cap means the first letter is uppercase. If I have a pattern like this, pattern, I am looking for an occurrence of the word color. Okay, now I'm looking for the matches. Which function do you guys remember which function we use for matching all occurrences?
Match all.
What is a complete function name?
PREG underscore match underscore all.
Yes. Awesome. And we're looking for a pattern and the text just like that. And it will come back and it will tell you that I was able to successfully match only one occurrence of the word color because it is looking for an exact true match. If it can't, it's a case-sensitive match. Let me put it in simple words. It's a case-sensitive match. So that's why it came back and said, you know what? I can't find anything more than once. Everybody got that one? So what I would like to do is I would like to stick a little I in my pattern, just like this. Save the changes and refresh the output. It will jump to 3. So what in the world is this I? I means ignore case. So now the output will be 3. Ignore case and ignore exact match, right? So the word colors has the word color in it as well. Okay. Now let's save this one. Oh, sorry, now let's create a new one. We will call regular expression 5.php. Oh, so we already have 5.6.php. In this one, we will use a text with words such as cart, car, carrot, and cartoon. All of these words have the letter CAR. And my pattern goes like this. But I am looking for car, right? I'm looking for car. Okay. Replacement equals to go regular expression replace in the pattern. This is the replacement of the following text. Okay. You know what? Let me use a boundary here. Okay, so I'll say all occurrences, so that /b is for the boundary. All occurrences of CAR, okay, all occurrences of CAR should be in bold. That's what it means. All occurrences of CAR should be in bold. So let me save it and refresh it. Yep, all occurrences of CAR is in bold. So when you use /b before, sorry, when you use B before car, so that sets a boundary. So look for CAR only and replace those with a bold. Everybody got that?
So what's the $0 mean?
It's it's basically, it's like a replacement parameter for the item. It's like a placeholder.
So what it finds is being put in there pretty much.
Exactly. So right now it is boundarying itself to car only. However, if I want to do it on the entire word, wherever the letters CAR are found, then I can use /W okay, /W after car. And this, oh, this only did the first one, right? It didn't do all of them. It only did the first one because I forgot to use asterisks, which means multiple occurrences. So I'm like, here we go. Okay. So B is for boundary. W is for word, and asterisk for occurrences. Everybody got this one? Okay. So we will now create a new PHP file called regular expression 7.php. So let's bring in another string here, which will be you gotta give the Go card a try. And my regular expression in this is the text go. Now we will look at a method which would allow you to use the regular expressions in an if condition. Okay, so we will use an if condition to match the regular expression with the string. And we will check to see if we were able to find matches. Okay, so echo, we found a match to the expression match. Otherwise, echo no match found. So since we have the text go quite a few times in this expression, you gotta give the go cart a try. That's why it gives us an output that it was able to find a match to the expression go. And that expression go is here inside the match 0. Okay, in this same example, I want to add another string. Both regular expression, like regex and regex, are short for regular expressions. And my regular expression in this example is the text reg. Now, instead of match, I'm looking for a match all on this pattern, which is my regular expression. That's my pattern. My text is a string, and it will be holding the results in matches, right? So let's print the matches. And in fact, you know what, let me add a couple of BRs just to have some blank lines between the two outputs. So match all will match all occurrences of the pattern, and match would be okay if it can find only one occurrence. So that's the difference between match versus match all.
You should your output one more time.
Yes, yes. So it will show me an array of 3 elements. And the reason is because I have 3 occurrences of reg in that sentence. Regex, and regular. All 3 of them have the reg as a text. Okay, so is everybody caught up with this one? Okay, so let's move on to the next one now. So we have the regular expression. Oh, 8.php. Okay. So string equals to 13.2. And my regular expression is that I am looking for 3 and 0.2. I'll first do this one, and then I will make one change to line number 3. For now, let's leave it like this. If the regular expression matches, we have the regex for our regular expression. The subject is in the string, and matches is where the matches will be held. However many matches are there. Okay. Echo. We found a match to else echo no match found. So now when I run this example, says we found a match to 3.2. There is one more regular expression symbol that we can use. That's called a dollar sign. So dollar sign is used to find match with ending text. So that means we're looking for to see if within the string 13.2, does it ends in 3.2? The previous one was contains, and this is ends with. So that's the main difference between this is more specific. So for example, if I change this to a 13.20 and drop the dollar sign and refresh, it will say 3.2 was found. But if I add the dollar sign, it says no match found. Why? Because it is looking for to see if it ends in 3.2, but since it ends in 3.20, that's why it says match not found. So if you are looking for ends with, then you use the dollar sign. Does that make sense to you guys? The ends with expression. Okay, everybody got, oh, we still have some people working on it. Okay. Okay, so let me clear the feedback. And let's start with the next one. And so this will be number 9. So space, word, space. 1, 2, 3, 4 digits. String equals to bat 1,000. Now, if regular match, so we have regular expression, string, matches. Echo. We found a match. Or else echo no match found. So since we are looking for a match of a space, a word, a space, and 4 digits, and we found that a space, a word, a space, and 4 digits. Therefore, it will come back and tell you that a match was found. So you can go with complicated irregular expressions as well. You can go and match for multiple digits. Now, regular expression is one of the craziest things, right?
Yeah, it looks like nonsense.
I'm just looking for some more patterns here. Just give me a minute. Preceding item will be matched 1 or more times as plus. And question mark. Question. Occurrences indicator. Okay, so, okay, let me do this example here. Let me go to regular expression number 10 .php. String. Oops, misspelled striped. Okay. Set the striped cat to the orange cat. Okay, that's the expression. As you can see, the word striped and the word orange, they're both in a special tag called span. So let me create a regular expression on span. Span. Okay. Within span, characters are represented by period. So each character is period. Multiple occurrence is plus. Okay. Okay. Now, echo replace the regular expression string. Hold on a second. No. Regular expression something in a string. Okay. Now, what is that something is, let me fill up. Something, I mean, like just some text, right? Any text. So I'm going to replace that in the middle text. I mean, like I want to replace the spans text with this text. Let me test this real quick, guys. Just 1 minute, okay? What did I do? Modifier P.
So does this slash on the ending span mess it up?
Oh, you're right, because I have to do 2 of them. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. because the ending slash for span is actually the regular expression slash. So here we go. Okay. Now here's the problem. What's the problem?
It went from the first to the start of the span to the end of the second span.
Right. So it just went said the dish cat. So said the stripped cat. Stop there. So let me do this. Let me try having one or more occurrences. Just 1 second. Here you go. Okay, so that question mark, multiple occurrence of the pattern, which is. So this pattern, as however many times the span occurs, it'll replace all of them. Alex, you're loving this stuff?
Of course.
Woo, you gotta love regular expressions. Yay.
Alvin is liking it, this stuff, right, Alvin? Yes,
Always.
always. He's even celebrating it.
That's right.
Where's our friend Greg? He's off and quiet today. Greg, Nelson.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm here.
I know you're here, but you're quiet.
Yeah, I'm just taking it all in here. I'm having fun with everybody else.
Okay, cool, cool. Amruta, you're doing okay?
Yes, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Brock, I know it's a piece of cake for you, but still asking.
I mean, it's not a piece of cake. I just can figure it out pretty quick.
Okay, cool.
It's been a long day, man. I had PT today and I got dry needled and stuff. So
Ooh. Yeah, but the reason I'm saying it because you might have seen it in several of your web development classes.
yeah. I mean, I've only taken one other PHP class besides this one, but yes.
Okay.
The Reggie, that's new to me for this one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, dry needling's not too. I like the dry needling. They
I
did
like it
yeah.
too. It just hurts afterwards.
Yeah, you get sore if they hit the right. Yep. They did it in my calf, and dude, it helps so much after
I get it done in my back and my hamstrings.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me get it done in my back after they did after they fixed the disc in my back.
So how often do you have to go for this?
I've been in physical therapy for the last year and a half, but today was my last formal appointment, so I'm probably only gonna have to keep up for it for like every month.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so now we will move on to our next one. Regular expression number 11. Okay. Let's say we have a string which is in the date format, like this one. Okay. So 16th of April, 2024. Now I need to do a pattern recognition of this one through a regular expression. So first of all, I need 3 sets of the regular expression. So I have a first set, hyphen second set, hyphen third set. I have 3 numbers, right? Okay. As far as the first set is concerned, it can comprise of any digits from 0 through 9. So that's what I'll say. It can be any digits from 0 through 9. So that's in square brackets. How many digits can there be for the day of the month? I can say minimum 1, but maximum 2. Okay. Minimum 1, maximum 2. And that's the same pattern I have. Oops. Edit, undo. That's the same pattern I have for the month. Minimum 1 digit, maximum 2 digits. But for the year itself, it could also be the digits 0 through 9, but I have a fixed pattern of 4. Okay. So if I were to add comments, this is my day, month, and year pattern. So behind the scene, this one would be considered as my first argument, my second, and my third. Okay? So these are considered to be my 3 different forms of regular expressions. So what I'm doing is this. I would like to replace my month in the beginning, followed by the day, followed by the year. So I'm basically changing it from Canadian date style to the US date style. That's what I'm doing. So that's my pattern of moving the month before the day and pushing the day after the month. So echo, replace, using the regular expression, replacement in the following string. So let me try running it. And I was able to change the date from 16th April to April 16th. Did everybody understand this one and got the output? Everybody got this? Let's see, okay, we got 10 people who got it. Okay, cool. Okay, let me clear the feedback here and let's move on to our next example. So we'll call this one regular expression 12. Let's create an array of makes. BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Honda, GMC, Ford, Audi, Tesla. I think that's enough, right? Now let me assign you guys a task to figure out a pattern yourself, okay? So I want you to display all makes that start with letter T, followed by other alphabets, case insensitive. So, and you don't have to have an expression variable created and only then you can use it. So what I want you to do is, I want you to come up with your regular expression within the double quotes on line 6, and then display your output of array that matches the criteria, okay? And when you're done, you give me a green check. Wow, both Gregs were the first one to be done. Okay, we have Zach also done. Okay. Okay, we have 11 people done. 12 people are done. Awesome. We have Ethan, Jonathan are the only two people left. Okay. Oh, okay. Let's clear the feedback. Okay, now let me ask you guys. So what did you guys use for the pattern here? I know you used two of these slashes, right? I can give you some of the keystrokes. What else did you use besides that?
The caret T.
The caret. So caret starts with T, okay?
Then I also use the I, so it's case insensitive at the end.
Oh, in the end, okay. And what else? What did you do for followed by other alphabets part? What did you do for that?
Ooh. Nothing. I only did that, unfortunately.
Anybody take care of that part?
Backslash capital D.
Backslash capital B?
D.
V.
No, D, delta.
Oh, D. Which D stands for what?
It's any non-digit character.
Any non-digit characters, okay. Or you can also use A through Z because it's I, case insensitive, and then any number of occurrences.
That probably would have been better.
So we got Toyota from spot number 2 and Tesla from spot number 7. Okay. Oh, so that's what I was wondering. We have less people than what we had at the beginning of today's class.
They're off to Oz.
Storm Monday night, the power out.
Probably, I'm wondering, that's probably might be. So Daniel is not here, right? Period. Daniel Gers. And Michael also is not here. So that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And how many of us are here? Okay, so 16 of you are here out of 17. Oh, Desmond is missing, right? Yeah, I don't see. Okay. Yeah, okay. I know. Smile. So, okay. So last week I gave you guys quiz number 5 to work on and an assignment to work on, right? That was part of unit number 6.
We
No.
didn't get the assignment.
He said it was like a catch-up week, from what I recall.
Say that again.
It was
You
kinda
said
like-
it was
Oh.
a catch-up week.
Oh yeah, so assignment is due by the 11th. But I assigned you last week, right?
No.
No, I didn't even assign you that. Okay. So, and what about quiz number 5? Did I assign you that?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. No, I think you did do quiz 5. That one was due today, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, quiz 5. Okay. So
It's also due March 11th, so I don't think you did.
assignment number 4 is March 11th.
Quiz 5 is also March 11th.
Quiz 5 is also March 11th. Okay, good. So you guys still have time to do those 2 things. So here, for the assignment number 4, what you will be doing is you will be creating an HTML form with labels and text boxes. And you'll be giving user a choice of height and base. And you will then give user a choice of entering, making a choice between parallelogram and triangle. And then you will be asking user for height and base. And then upon hitting the submit button, all of this data will travel to the PHP page. It could be a post back page. It's totally up to you. And what it will do is, based on your choice of parallelogram or triangle, it will use one of the 2 formulas and will display the area of the shape. Okay? So you could be
Yes,
using
sir.
a drop-down box for your parallelogram and triangle, like we use select box, and a couple of text boxes, and then, you'll be, so yeah, that's what you will be working on. So you still have a week to work on the quiz 5 and assignment 4. And I am not assigning, I'm not assigning you anything for this week. So unit number 7 is empty in terms of there are no assigned work. So all of your assigned work is still in unit 6.
So with that, did you want to make sure each of the formulas are inside their own function?
Since I did not put that in specifications, I would prefer if you could go the modular route. That will be the best. But I don't think so. I have put that specifications here. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So,
Sounds like a plan.
and it should not be too difficult to do based on the examples that we have done in class. You could certainly bring in some of the logic we have learned today and in the prior weeks into making this happen. So, okay. So we did some of the regular, actually, I wanted to cover regular expressions next week, but that's okay. We did that today. We didn't do date and time functions, right? Or
The
did,
only one we did was the date Y.
okay, maybe briefly we touched base on it. Okay, so we can start looking into that and some of the other stuff next week, Monday. So I would have to look for like in unit 8. Yeah, we're going to be looking at some, and then I need to also be talking about PHP and XML. So we'll look at some other topics, XML, date and time, Yeah, that game is still gonna look at next time. Okay, cool. So that brings us to the end of our today's class. And at least we're done with regular expressions, right? I know. It's not one of the fun topics. It's a topic, so we covered it. Okay.
All right, you have a good night.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Good
Yep.
night.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
Thank you.
Or
Have a
next-
good night, Mr. Saad.
Good night.
Thanks, Zed. Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
Have a good night.